Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Baddies DH1. I am your headmaster, Mr. Andrews, and I will be taking over tonight. I'm like Tabitha, I'm taking over. Anyways, so it is our fifth episode of Baddies DH1. We are down to our final 8 competitors. So we do have 2 that are not here with us right now. So I'm going to just ask you guys some quick questions before we get into tonight's lesson. So I'm just going to start off with Debbie. So Debbie, you won the last lesson, which was all about uh, figuring out where you stood with the rest of the group, and it showed that apparently you were the popular one. Uh,
Who
do
would have
you
known?
feel like that is going to bode well for you in tonight, or do you think it might put a target on your back moving forward?
Well, as I said the first night when I was voted most likable, it could always put a target on my back. But I do think that, tonight is probably going to be more about the debate. So I don't know if it's going to be like relative to putting a target on my back, if it like matters as much because of tonight's lesson. Um, but I will say that I genuinely really do like everyone here. And so in terms of in terms of like you said, whether it's like popular or just getting along with everyone, yeah, I feel like everyone's really been getting along right now and everyone's been growing in their own way. So yeah.
Thank you. Constance, we are in our 5th night, so we are heading towards the second half of the game, hopefully towards the end of it. Who do you feel like is not growing? Who do you think has kind of just plateaued?
Personally for me, there's several people that I feel like that just need to not necessarily have to have like not stories in particular. I do feel like that, for example, Rafi, heard what I said last time on the live, you know what I mean? I definitely feel as though that, people will have stories, but it's your choice as to figure out where your story goes, because if it doesn't go anywhere eventually, it's going to just kind of not lead anywhere and it's going to be stagnant. So I think actually people like, that are focusing on a story in particular need to figure out where their story is going. Otherwise, it's going to lead nowhere. And I don't think we're going to be able to get those people anywhere where they need to go with the self growth that they need to get to.
Thank you. Anthony, so as a headmaster, there's a lot of things that I've had to look at when it came to expelling someone from the school. I look at your performance in the lesson. I look at your behavior when you're in the house with the rest of the students. In your opinion, which do you think should weigh more when me, Jimmy, and Nick are making our decisions? Do you think we should take into account people's behavior, or should we take into account how you perform in the lesson more?
I would say in this case, it was 50-50 because, I could be, and I apologize, I just woke up. And if my answer sounds crazy, I apologize. But I feel like if I am not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like, socially, and I'm still acting the same way. Oh my God, I messed up the whole question now. Can you repeat that one more time for me?
I'll make it easy for you. Just
Thank
one
you.
word answer. Just pick. Which do you think is more important when me, Jimmy, and Nika are deciding who to expel? Should we look more at the lesson or people's behavior?
Okay, I would say the behavior. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you very much. My next question is going to go to Rafi. So Rafi, you guys have had a couple of days to think about your topics, get ready for tonight's debate. How are you feeling going into tonight's lesson?
A little nervous. Honestly, I mean, like, I'm more so cautiously optimistic. I do like this challenge. I do like what I have prepared. Mostly just, I know myself. I know I'm not the greatest public speaker. I tend to ramble. So I just want to make sure I don't do that. I'm being very cautious in my approach because I don't want to sound bad.
Thank you. My next question is going to go to Mark. So Mark, just from the lessons I've seen, you really have excelled. You know, you did amazing in the car washing challenge and you did amazing in the fashion show. Do you think you're going to be able to keep up that momentum tonight with the debate?
Yes.
I appreciate that answer. Okay, my next question is going to go to Ida. So, Ida, I feel like we've seen a very different side of you this season in Baddies DH1. Do you feel like in your previous seasons of I Love Money, you were maybe misjudged by your fellow competitors and maybe they just didn't get to see this side of you?
You know, in my previous games, they would do things and say things to get a reaction out of me. And I was giving them that reaction that they was looking for. In this game, I'm like, it's not even worth giving them my reaction anymore. It's like, it's not worth it. And I learned a lot to control myself. And I'm trying to learn how to have a normal conversation now. Because usually I'm just arguing. And now that I have to have conversations, it's so hard. So I'm trying.
Well, I appreciate the effort. That's what this is all about. It's all learning experience. And Cheryl, I guess we'll end off with you. So Cheryl, there was a lot of drama that went down in the Baddies DH1 Coco Academy back on the last live I was in. Now, I was not there for the last live, but I saw there's a little bit of drama there as well. Now that you guys have had time to kind of just reconvene, get yourselves ready for the lesson, is the drama still afoot, or do you think it'll stay dormant tonight?
I really think the drama has subsided. Since we had the 2 days break, I totally disconnected myself from the game, concentrated on myself, did some research. It's just been nonchalant chatting, and I don't think we'll see the drama rear its head as badly in the future.
Awesome, thank you. So for tonight's lesson, I'll just go over it again for the public. So you guys were tasked with coming together as a team and debating opposing members on the other team about different topics. You guys were given topics such as environmental control, marijuana, the death penalty, AI. So very hot topics going on in the world right now. This lesson really is all about seeing how you guys are able to handle a moderated debate. Are you guys able to keep a level head when you have a disagreement with somebody? Are you able to argue those your reasons in a valid way? So it's really going to test you in that capacity. You guys have had a lot of time to study. You've had a lot of time to research your topic. Each of you guys were given a question. So I'm just going to reiterate how this is going to work. So each of you is going to face off against a member of the opposing team one by one. If your team, if you are declared the winner of the debate between you and that one person, you will earn a point for your team. The team that wins the most amount of debates will all be safe from elimination and will not have to go to detention. The team that doesn't win, they will be sent to detention where one of you will be expelled from the competition. Since there are 4 of you guys, in the event of a tie, the entire body of work will be looked at. So if there's a tie, we will look at both debates and we'll just have to go based off of what we are shown entirely. So tonight I will in some part be judging some of the debate, but I'm also going to have Kyra help me with the judging for the debate. So I'm really going to be looking for who is able to give their reasoning out the best that they can. I'm going to really try to not be biased. Kyra's not going to be biased as well. It's not going to be based off of what our personal opinions are. It's going to be strictly based off of if we knew nothing about the topic, which argument would sway us more. So Kyra, are you ready to listen to their debates? I'm dead. So it's going to be strictly based off of nothing about.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm sorry. I think I'm sorry. Things got blown up, and yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna help Dylan. I'm gonna help Dylan judge, and then yeah. So this is gonna be the where you guys are talking from, and so just get going, and Rogan.
So for our first matchup, we're going to have Mark for the pro side, and we're going to have Ida for the against side. So the first prompt was, should people have fewer children to help tackle climate change? So I'm just going to go over the rules of this debate. There really are no rules. It's just really going to depend on how you guys tackle this. Your only prompt is going to be that question that you were given: should people have fewer children to help tackle climate change? I'm not going to have an official timer on, just because I want to give you guys a chance to really hone in your arguments, but I am going to try to limit it to about 3 to 5 minutes. So I'm going to ask that everyone that is not debating, which is everyone except for Ida and Mark, to hop off camera and on mute until after their debate is finished.
Good luck, everybody.
I love that.
All right.
I can't wait. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, so Ida and Mark, whenever you guys are ready, why don't we'll go in alphabetical order. So Ida, I guess you can start us off, and then you guys can handle this debate however you want to. Floor is your guys's.
Okay. I think people should have more kids because it would help out the climate. More people are being more aware of the climate and are doing things to change it. And with more people and more help, it could help the climate. More people are starting to recycle. More people are starting to not use plastic. And more people are starting to use solar panels, and those are very great for the climate. And with more people on Earth, it can help faster because the Earth is huge, and we need more people to help it. With the little bit of people that we have now, it will not help at all. It's like we're struggling, but we trying to make a way. What do you think, Mark?
Honestly, I feel like climate change isn't going to happen until people change. I mean, we have to put some type of regulations on these things because if you think about it, we currently have a population, an orphan population of 153 million kids in the entire world. Of those orphans, about 0.005 of them are adopted each year worldwide. So if we regulated childbirth, we did maybe one natural birth and the second one have to be an adoption option, then it would only lower orphan populations, also help for CO2 emissions, which are kind of at an all-time high right now at 38.6 gigatons, which it increased year and is projected to increase. And so with additional people, it would cause those CO2 emissions to continually increase. Fun fact, humans release about 40 to 100 times as much carbon as Earth's volcanoes. So one more kid could be 40 times as much CO2 emissions as a volcano. So it really would make more sense for you to kind of put some type of regulations on it, because also we have 7.8 billion people on the entire planet, and we've been preaching energy conservation, water conservation, renewable energy, all of these things, but they've kind of fallen on deaf ears because we're still in a global climate crisis. Like nothing's really happened. So obviously putting these practices aren't working, but if we do some type of regulation on the amount of people, it can not only kind of impact that, but other global issues like deforestation, overcropping, overpopulation, things like that. So you would not only be saving orphans, but you'd also be saving the planet at the same time. I don't on camera.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. I don't know what's wrong with my phone.
So what would you say is your main reason for being pro more children?
Being pro more children, people are also realizing that killing the forest, because trees produce the CO or oxygen that we need. And they realizing that killing the forest is not the way to go. And more people are planting trees to help out the climate. And with more people, one head is better, two heads better than one. I'm sorry, two heads are better than one. And with more people, they could get together, analyze things, and stuff will go better. Like in America, I can see in America, in a few years, we are going to have a lot of problems with other countries, and we are going to start relying on ourselves. And part of that, I feel like they are going to make solar powered cars from sunlight to not use electricity and stuff like that to damage the climate. And more people, I'm gonna keep saying that more people will help the climate a lot.
But the problem with more people would be more people means more houses, meaning more deforestation, because we need more houses for these people to live in. Overcropping because these people need to eat. And so they're attributing to more things than they're necessarily helping. And this is to say that each person that you procreate is going to create, a nice recycling, upstanding person, which we know that's not realistic. But I feel like that's why putting some type of regulation, again, not a full stipulation of you can't have any children whatsoever, but if you put some type of regulation on it, that would at least catapult us into a direction that would kind of normalize adoption and maybe make costs lower. But we have, again, 153 million orphans. And so why not start adding those into people's family instead of procreating, which is adding to our climate crisis?
Just a warning, y'all. Give your closing thoughts, and then we're going to move on to the next topic.
Okay.
All right. You want to go first with your closing thought?
Sure. I'll just give you my full thing. Though one could logically argue that energy conservation, renewable energy, water conservation, and many other climate solutions as a way to alleviate our problems, the same practices have been preached to our current population for billions of our current population of 7.8 billion people for the last decade, and seemingly falling on deaf ears. So why not try regulating childbirth for what seemingly decreased CO2 emissions, while also positively impacting a plethora of issues, including overpopulation, deforestation, overcropping, affordable living. And now ask yourself, would you be willing to save a child to save the world?
My closing argument is there's forests that has not even been discovered yet, or there's a forest that hasn't even been thoroughly walked through. Only 20% of this forest has been discovered, and there's plenty of land for everyone to grow and learn to cope with each other. More people, I feel like, will be better, because with the less people, it's not as much help to the climate right now. Not as many people can help, but with more people being born, and like Mark said, the kids, the orphans, can be adopted, but I feel like he's against it when he brings it up, because that's just bringing more kids into the world if they adopt it or not. And I feel like it'd be better with more people. And that's it. I don't know what else to say.
Well, thank you both for that interesting debate. I really enjoyed it. Oh, we're getting a full moon tonight, I see. Or is that more of a half moon?
I'm reporting this game for nudity.
Wouldn't be the first time. So Mark, Ida, thank you both very much. You may both hop off camera and go on mute. So we will reveal which debater we liked the best at the end of the debate. So we're gonna discuss in the prod chat. While we do that, I'm going to ask the next two debaters to step forward, which are Rafi and Debbie. So Rafi and Debbie have a very interesting debate. Should artificial intelligence, or AI, be regulated? Rafi is pro-regulation, Debbie is anti-regulation. So Rafi, Debbie, I am going to give you guys the floor. Debbie, since you are on Ida's team and Ida led the argument last time, I'm going to pass it to Rafi to start the argument this time.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good evening, faculty. So Debbie, I just have a little speech prepared, and I'll just let you do a speech, and then we can just talk more freely. But so good evening. I urge you all right now to reconsider your perception of AI. It's not just a villain from a science fiction or limited to virtual assistants like Siri. AI encompasses a wide range of technologies that are part of our daily lives. The lack of comprehensive definitions and regulations, however, makes it challenging for governments to handle this broad concept. We are currently in a phase of AI regulation where it's sort of like the Wild West. There are no rules for how it can be developed or what it can do. In fact, a survey of leading AI experts and developers revealed that 69% of them agreed that society should prioritize AI safety, research, and regulation more than it currently does. And with such overwhelming support from experts, AI regulation should be a priority sooner rather than later. And there are three major problems that contribute to this need. Firstly, unregulated AI poses ethical concerns as mistakes in the system particularly affect marginalized communities. Studies have shown that current AI software can perpetuate discrimination and prejudice. In one study, large language models, such as ChatGPT-3, exhibit prejudice associations towards minority groups, with it creating sentences such as audacious is to boldness as Muslim is to terrorism, and two Muslims walked into a synagogue with axes and a bomb. And in a separate study, medical imaging AI systems have shown underdiagnosis biases against women, Black individuals, and other underrepresented populations. This results in underrepresented groups, especially Black women, not receiving the care and treatment they need. So such developments reflect and reinforce social inequalities. So without regulation, discriminatory trend will persist. Secondly, the lack of regulations allow for unrestricted use of AI-generated data. The photos you share with AI art generators, for instance, can be used without your knowledge. Companies can exploit that data shared with the AI for various purposes, compromising people's privacy and information. This can be seen in cases such as the Cambridge Analytica scandal of 2018, wherein the AI stole Facebook users' information to create targeted advertisements and psychographic profiles on users without their consent. Another example is Clearview AI in 2022, where facial recognition technology was scouring social media, stealing billions of images and posts without people's consent in order to build their massive database. In these cases, privacy and information were put at risk in the name of progress. So strict regulations are necessary to safeguard individuals' privacy rights and intellectual property ownership. One might argue that companies should establish their own policies to address these issues. However, relying on programmers alone is insufficient. Most AI rely on deep learning, a black box model where the AI is programmed like the human brain, able to make its own connections between pieces of data, sort of like how neurons work. However, programmers lack an understanding of the AI's decision-making process. And to quote an article regarding this on Vox, with deep learning, improving systems doesn't necessarily involve or require understanding of what they're doing. Often, a small tweak will improve performance substantially, but the engineers designing the system don't know why. So this lack of transparency hampers efforts to address discrimination, prejudice, and privacy within the system. After all, how can you fix, moderate, or maintain something that you cannot even understand? This raises a fundamental question about what AI is and how it works. Even the creators and developers of current AI systems may struggle to provide definitive answers due to the prevalence of black box models and the sort of Wild West approach to AI development. This leads to unrestricted AI development, wherein the software engineers are unable to effectively explain or repair any number of issues that the AI presents. So government intervention is necessary to regulate AI developments and address these issues because they need a standardized rule set. Otherwise, we're just going to keep getting more problems. All right, Debbie?
Thank you, Rafi, for your points. I do also have my points as well. So I think the most important thing here is with AI, and the reason not to regulate it is innovation and progress. We need innovation and progress in this economy, especially for businesses to grow and for our economy to take off as well. AI is a rapidly evolving field, and imposing heavy regulations could stifle innovation and slow down progress. So there's many different companies and industries that AI really helps as well. One of them being healthcare, the medical industry as well, education, ad tech, etc. And being compliant, being GDPR and PII compliant is very important, but also not to limit the key identifiers and cookies, and being able to use different latitude, longitude, IP address, home address, and different identifiers. We need to be able to house billions of data points. So by not regulating AI, we're able to house these billions of data points, more data than Google and Netflix can house combined. And we're able to, when you use AI, machine learning in real time, you're able to make a trade on the trade desk quicker than you can make a trade in the stock exchange. So again, going back to my first point, that innovation and progress is what really helps AI in this rapidly evolving field. And it helps the economy grow, it helps jobs grow, it helps fuel commerce and fuel e-commerce in this economy. It will help startups also build on themselves within these groundbreaking technologies, and will be able to develop freely and encourage exploration and development as well. The second point is autonomy and individual responsibility. Humans are behind this AI, and especially AI machine learning. So we need to be able to be held accountable and responsible and be able to grow our businesses and grow the economy. And as I mentioned, there's many different industries such as healthcare, transportation, education, the medical system as well, ad tech. For example, by not limiting these key identifiers and being able to use cookies on a Facebook or social media, you're able to help fuel commerce and help consumers make these quick decisions to be able to buy and to fuel your brand and help your brand take off. So for example, I'm a mom of boys. I never buy gifts for girls unless I'm buying and I never buy like Barbie dolls or girls' toys unless I'm buying a gift. So by not limiting AI, they're able to serve me an ad on Facebook and knowing within that right moment in time that I am in the market and looking for a gift, and it is able to help fuel commerce. In terms of brand safety and ethical AI, we are still able to make sure that those brands are GDPR compliant, not using personal information to within brand safety, and we're able to still make these brands have the confidentiality and the brand safety that they have as well, by keeping the AI ethical as well. So I think brand safety and anti-fraud is also very important, and we're able to do this by not limiting this AI. It could also undermine the principle of, like I said, these developers and researchers to use this ethically. We want to be able to build and develop these right practices and help the AI community be accountable within the individual responsibility. The third point is adaptability to different industries. So as I mentioned, this technology is very versatile and can be applied into very different industries with these challenges and requirements. So by imposing rigid regulations, we're not able to account for the specific needs and nuances of these different industries. We're not able to help advance medical care and save people's lives and advance ad tech as well. We want to be able to adapt into specific demands of specific industries and make solutions that benefit the AI as well. The fourth point is the burden and innovation on startups. As I mentioned, innovation, that is key. We want startups, I don't want to say we, but the world needs startups to grow the stock market, to grow public companies, to grow private companies, to make sure that we're not in a recession and to build on the economy as well. So by having these strict compliant requirements, we're not able to build innovation. We're putting a burden on the regulatory frameworks, and making sure these small players and these startups don't succeed. We want them to succeed. We want entrepreneurs to succeed as well. And we want to be able to have this AI ecosystem grow. The fifth point is unintended consequences and innovation suppression. So regulations have these consequences. We're hindering the progress and restricting development of these technologies. So we don't want to suppress advancements of AI. Again, humans are still being held accountable and responsible. The sixth point, and my last point here of this opening statement, is international competitiveness. As a global field, as I mentioned, it has to be GDPR compliant. We are using this AI machine learning in real time. By putting strict regulations on this, as countries, we're at a disadvantage compared to others with more permissive regulatory environments. So if one nation has heavy restrictions on AI development, it can push talent and resources to other countries that have more favorable regulations. So in a globalized world, it's easy to maintain a competitive edge and foster by allowing this AI to grow without the absence of burdens. So again, we have many different identifiers. By being able to use cookies, by being able to use latitude, longitude, IP address, physical address, we don't want to limit anything so that we can grow AI and grow and fuel the economy.
Thank you. Just for time's sake, I think you both stated very great points. We are going to move forward. Thank you both. That was very insightful what both of you had to say. So judges, we will discuss in our chat. Until then, our next debate is going to be, should marijuana be legal? We're going to have Cody and Anthony face off. So Cody and Anthony, please step up to the podium. Sir Anthony. There we go. So Anthony will be the for should marijuana be legal. He is pro marijuana. Cody will be anti-marijuana. So we'll see how this goes. So Anthony, you will go first. Cody, you can go second. Try to keep the opening statements a little shorter, just so you guys are able to have a little bit of back and forth. Go ahead, Anthony.
All right. Once again, thank you, judges and fellow baddies, for allowing me to speak about something that I passionately care for. My opponent will give out false news about marijuana. It's a gateway drug, it's a killer, or some type of lie to make you agree with him. What I want to do is give you all the benefits of why legalizing the devil's lettuce will benefit everybody in the United States. You can go, Cody.
All right. Thank you very much for the stage. Thank you for the time. Thank you, judges and fellow baddies. I will come here and talk to you not only about the illegalization of marijuana, something that is important for this nation, but also the effects that it has on people and individuals and how it will also affect the betterment of our country.
All right. So I would like to start off with the first point that I have. So I want to share, if we do legalize marijuana, we will be on the verge of eliminating this negative stereotype of POCs and the costly enforcement of marijuana laws. Arresting people for marijuana cost the United States between 1.19 billion and 6.3 billion annually. These costs include police, legal, and correctional expense. Incarcerating marijuana offenders costs the United States an estimate 600 million per year. Now, if we go ahead and legalize it, we will save between 7.7 billion and 13.7 billion dollars annually. So that'll give us more money to do what we need to do in our states, like schools, roads, all of that good stuff. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so it's interesting that he brings up the part of the cost of people of color being imprisoned for marijuana possession. That's very interesting because honestly, the prison benefits the offender more than basically anything else. More than anything, the people who go into prison basically get into a treatment center because prison is all about rehab. Prison is about reform. And so if you do get arrested for something that does cause addiction, I have plenty of facts to talk about the addiction rate when it comes to marijuana. Then whenever you do go into prison to reform yourself, you're actually able to turn yourself around. I have plenty of numbers. 37% of treatment admissions reported by treatment episode data set, that is TEDS, basically referred through the criminal justice system. Marijuana was identified as a drug of abuse by 57% of the people. And it's not because it's a people of color drug, it's a everybody drug. Here in the state of Virginia, it's grown widely. In the state of Arkansas, Oklahoma, it's grown widely, and it's not just by people of color. And number one thing I definitely want to point out is that Obama did not support legalization of marijuana. When his administration was there, he didn't support it. It was only supported in 2 states, and federally it's illegal. And there's plenty of reasons why it's illegal. And so let me just bring that up real quickly. The reason why they are illegal is because traffic problems. Whenever you start to drive under the influence, basically you have more problems with traffic. And that's why people are getting arrested for things like that. Whenever you basically look at, it's like the leading cause of substance abuse outside of alcohol. So legalizing marijuana is almost like legalizing alcohol. They did it way too soon. They didn't have any facts. They didn't have any research. And so that's why the legalization of marijuana should not happen, because they're not ready for this to happen right now. And they don't have the funds to dedicate to that. We're in a deficit right now. And so basically taking the money that we need to educate and get the FDA up to par with knowing how to test these things and knowing how to look out for these things, the different strands, the different things, it's not there. It's not there. And you can't say that because people of color are in prison, like your numbers, 1.9 billion, 3.6 billion annually, 600 million a year, 7.7 billion, 13.7 billion annually. Where do those numbers come from? I'm not sure. So taking those numbers out of it, really, you hit it off with people of color, POC, and that is not going to touch much.
That sounds good. That was good.
So are you guys do you guys have any more points you want to bring up?
I got points.
Yes, I got points.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness, I got points.
Points. I like this debate. So.
Okay, so what I do want to talk about is that you were talking about how marijuana is unsafe or whatever like that. I do want to say this: marijuana is the safest thing that we have. Just like you going to the doctor, getting stuff over the counter. So most people, like I said earlier about, no, I didn't say that. Sorry. So I know most of us watch commercials about the latest drugs that will help us with our chronic pain, autism, cancer, whatever you can think of. They had a commercial for it. These commercials are really good and everything like that, but they do have at the end the side effects of those drugs. Now, and as to top it off, the cost of one pill can cost you your rent or your groceries for the week. Marijuana is safer than some other prescription drugs to treat pain. For example, some people may use it instead of opioids. Now, that's another thing that people are going to jail for right now. Really, number one, they're dying from it, they're going to jail for it as well. So, with with opioids, they are highly addictive and are not typically not recommended for long-term use for a lot of stuff, especially for treating chronic pain. Now, with marijuana, you can use that in many ways. You don't need to smoke it for benefits. You don't have to get high for it as well. Products like CBD oil, topical pain relief treatments, edibles, and non-smoking applications will help as well. So we got that, and we don't have to worry about people going to jail really about marijuana if we go ahead and do that as well. Go ahead.
Okay, so thank you for the floor. I definitely want to like, and this could be my closing. Like, this is kind of I enjoy having a conversation with Anthony, but whenever we talk about this, uh, it just goes hand in hand. Your point was that it's highly addictive, and then the smoking and the CBD oil. So a few things. Number one, marijuana is addictive. That comes from a person who personally uses it. If I go, and I actually did this, so I will let you know, I did this for this debate. I basically took a whole entire week off without smoking, and I felt how my body felt. And yesterday, I smoked some stuff that was at a birthday party, and there was a whole cipher going. And at the cipher, who knows what type of strand is out there? That's one of the things about legalization of marijuana is that if you legalize it, now you have these dealers who are growing more potent strands that you don't understand, and you're not able to like know what you're putting into your body. So that's number one. So it becomes a little addictive. Whenever I don't have marijuana, then basically I go into a whole entire withdrawal. Like I get nauseous, I throw up, I crave certain things, I get very irritable. I've had very many people tell me that I'm a whole lot better whenever I smoke. And so you cannot tell me that it's not addictive. And I get it that people say that, oh, it benefits. There's no documentation, there's no proven facts that it's benefiting anything as far as dementia, HIV, cancer. It doesn't, like, the percentage is very low with those numbers. And so there's that. We also want to talk about, if we legalize marijuana, then guess what? We have to basically spend a lot more money and cost for drug education, rehab center, drug treatment programs, and then like then becoming addicted. There's 9% of people who become addictive, they go into rehab centers after that. And so that is another one of those things. And then another one of the stories that I definitely want to tell is that legalization of marijuana, if you legalize it, now you have these irresponsible adults who basically leave around like edibles. I love that you said you don't have to smoke it. So they leave around edibles. And these edibles, they come in gummy fashion, or they come in like things that kids are attracted to. And so now the youth are more attracted to it. And now they're getting addicted to something at an early age. And I had a 5-year-old in the state of Virginia take edibles to school, eat them, and they had to like basically bring an ambulance to the school, basically because the kid did not know that there was a difference between sour gummies and the gummies that had THC. I love it that you brought up CBD, because if you want to talk about CBD oil and you want to talk about Delta 8, those are the ways to go. Those are legal. You can go and you can buy that. And you will not get in trouble for having those things. You might get in trouble in the military, but you can go to a store and buy that, and those do calm you down. You don't need the plant You do not need the THC that comes from the cannabis plant. So, in closing, I would say that legalization of marijuana should not be done, not at this time, not until we're actually able to fund all the things that need to happen when it comes to legalizing marijuana. Because when you legalize marijuana, there are going to be different things that happen. And right now, in the state of Washington State, the state that I had moved from just 5 years ago, where it is legal, the 12.7, so 8.6% tested positive in DUIs. So driving under the influence of marijuana. In Washington State, 12.7 tested positive in level 1 shock trauma. So when they got into an accident and they had to go to the hospital, 12.7% of them were under the influence of marijuana. That is a lot. That is a lot. And this is why, until we can properly fund the education and the basic observation of the drug, I don't even care about the regulation of it. Like, we'll figure that out, because basically whenever we looked at the regulation of alcohol and tobacco, basically they still failed there too. We have lots of DUIs and people are dying of cancer daily. People have liver cancer.
I am
liver...
just gonna cut in to just kind of wrap it up.
So again, I just would look at that before I would say let's legalize marijuana. We want to look at the cost.
Awesome. Anthony, was there anything else you wanted to say, or are we good to move on?
So I'll just make it quick. What you said about drunk driving and driving high is not even comparable. 25% was being high and driving, and I think the rest of it was being drunk driving, and is still number one in all 50 states. My conclusion is this, and it's going to be real simple. Marijuana has a negative stereotype of being the gateway drug that leads to a life of bad decisions. Let me assure you that marijuana is a gateway drug for better health, better education, and one day a better world. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you both. So you both may hop off camera, go on mute, and we have our final debate of the evening. We have facing off Constance and Cheryl. They will be debating, should the death penalty be abolished? Constance is anti-death penalty. Cheryl is pro-death penalty. So since Anthony started off and he is on Cheryl's team, Constance, you will start us off. Good luck.
Alrighty, thank you so much. So first off, good luck. All right, now let's get right to it. Obviously, the foundation of any functioning society lies in its ability to dispense justice that is commensurate with the severity of the crimes committed. By retaining the death penalty, we ensure that justice is served in the most extreme cases, affirming the principles of fairness, proportionality, and moral accountability. The loss of innocent lives and the immense suffering caused by heinous crimes demands a response that's reflective to the gravity of the offenses committed. Let me explain just a few couple of points as to why that we should be against abolishing the death penalty. Here are 4 points. Deterrence. One of the primary purposes of the criminal justice system is to deter potential criminals from committing heinous acts. The death penalty serves as a powerful deterrent because it imposes the ultimate punishment for the most severe crimes. The fear of losing one's life can deter individuals from engaging in acts that could lead to their execution. Without the death penalty, some argue that potential criminals may be less deterred and more inclined to commit heinous crimes, leading to an increase in the overall crime rate. Retribution and justice. And the death penalty is often seen as just a just punishment for those who have committed the most serious offenses. Society has a right to seek retribution on behalf of the victims and their families, as well as to express its condemnation of the crimes committed. Abolishing the death penalty may be seen as denying justice to the victims and their loved ones, as it could result in lesser punishments that fail to adequately address the severity of these crimes. My third point, cost effectiveness. Now, contrary to the popular belief, the death penalty can be more cost effective than lifetime imprisonment. While it's true that the initial legal process and subsequent appeals can be expensive, the long-term costs of housing, feeding, and providing medical care for life sentence inmates can far exceed those associated with the death penalty. By maintaining the death penalty, limited resources can be allocated to other important areas, such as education, healthcare, and crime prevention. And my last point that I'm going to make at this very moment is limited risk of wrongful executions. Critics argue that the risk of executing an innocent person is a compelling reason to abolish the death penalty. While this concern is valid, it's essential to recognize that the judicial system has various safeguards in place to minimize such risks. Stringent evidentiary standards, multiple layers of review, and the opportunity for appeal help ensure that innocent individuals are not wrongfully executed. Although mistakes can occur in any system, advances in forensic science and DNA analysis have further reduced the chances of wrongful convictions. And with those 4 current points, I would love to hear what my opponent has to say about those points.
Okay, well, that was very well put together. I do applaud you for that. The death penalty has been, how do I put this? As of 2023, the death penalty was legal in 27 states. Though 3 of them have a moratorium on it: California, Pennsylvania, and Oregon. All states need to have a moratorium on it to avoid people who actually are innocent, who can prove their innocence, to avoid putting a person to death wrongfully. I'm going to cite a case that happened in 1996 in Rowlett, Texas, the case of Darlie Roudier. She was sentenced to death by lethal injection in February of 1997 and has been appealing and pushing for testing to prove her innocence because she believes she's innocent, and a lot of people do. Should people be allowed to be on death row that long? No, but that's another category for another time. But she is determined to prove her innocence. I do think there should be a moratorium on how long you have. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, where was I? Oh, the death penalty. Yes, we have an overpopulation problem worldwide. That puts that helps with that, but at the same time, you just can't. I get my notes got lost, and I do apologize. So death penalty is just not a good thing. It goes along with people who are, well, say, pro-life. They want to fight for unborn children. Do they want to fight for innocent people as well? And I think people have that right, should be able to, it should be put to the voters. It shouldn't just be the House of Representatives, the Senate, the President, all that. It should be put to the voters nationwide. And I'm going to stop before I dig a bigger hole.
Well, I appreciate the points that you made. And while that you are still here, and while we still have a little bit more time, I would also like to argue that according to a chart found on deathpenaltyinfo.org that is related to the 2022 calendar year, 55% of Americans were in favor of the death penalty for a person convicted of murder, meaning that the public consensus of generally heinous crimes should be warranted to the death penalty. And adding on to this, as of June 6, 2023, a total of 43 people are scheduled to be executed in the United States. All of these executions, however, are scheduled over 4 calendar years in 6 US states. However, in our current year of 2023, there are only 9 people waiting to be executed for murder, and of those 9, only 2 of those people have been contested to have been given wrongful sentences. Personally, meaning that the death penalty is truly only used in the offenses of heinous and more crazy crimes within our whole United States. And personally, while I'm here, my conclusion is going to be that the death penalty remains a necessary and indispensable tool in the pursuit of justice. Retaining capital punishment upholds the principles of justice, provides closure for victims' families, ensures proportional punishment, and safeguards society from the most heinous offenders. While abolitionist arguments highlight concerns such as wrongful convictions and the sanctity of life, these challenges can be mitigated through rigorous legal safeguards. By standing firm in our commitment to justice and the safety of our communities, we preserve the integrity of our criminal justice system and send a resounding message that the gravest offenses will not go unpunished. The death penalty, when applied judiciously and with appropriate safeguards, is an integral component of a just society. And if you have a closing statement, I would absolutely love to hear it.
Cheryl, I'm going to give you a chance to rebuttal, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Hi. Well, I have to disagree with you. Those safeguards that you say are put in place, they don't work. Look at some of the most recent cases in the past few years. Somebody who's been in prison over half of his life finally got exonerated. Had his death penalty, had it been put forward, an innocent person would have been murdered. You just can't. I agree there needs to be a time frame set for appeals, for testing, to push for a new trial or whatever. But you just can't rush into it. There's some people, like I said, of the case that I cited, that's been on death row since '97. In that case, I believe all of her appeals should have been exhausted in a 10-year period. Dragging it out is a strain on federal, state, and local resources. But at the same time, you have all these people in prison for whatever crime, whether it be drug-related, murder, child pornography, sex crimes, anything like that. You have to look at what that does for the local economy where these prisons are. I live in a state. In the town I live in, I have a maximum security prison just on the other side of town. There is also a state mental health hospital. Those two facilities alone are the biggest employer in my area. I personally know people who work at the prison as nurses. You want to keep the death penalty, that's keeping people out of these prisons, that's taking jobs away from people. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, well, thank you. So the judges and I will convene on all of it. So everyone can come back on camera. Please stay on mute. Kyra, and we also asked V her opinion, just so we had a third opinion to keep it relatively even. So we're just kind of going to go one by one and give our thoughts. We're going to be pretty quick, and then I think we kind of know which way we're leaning. So in the first debate, which was Mark versus Ida, I appreciated both of your guys' efforts. It just seemed like Mark was a little more, in my opinion, was a little more concise on what he thought. But what I will say is I thought both of you did a really good job on debating your opinions respectfully in a concise way. And I think you guys were a great way to open it. However, for the first debate, I probably would have to give it to Mark just based off of the points that he made. Oh, Kyra?
Oh, yeah. So Mark, yeah, you were very, Mark, yeah. Mark has my vote. I think he was more concise, and he definitely had more of a put together argument. and I think you had some valid points in there too. But I'm gonna give it to Mark because his made a little bit more sense to me. Good job though.
Great job, both of you. V, do you have any opinions? She might be typing it out because I know she's working. Well, while she types it out, we're gonna move on to the next pair. So the next pair to face off was Rafi versus Debbie. I had a little harder time with this because I felt like both of you had a really well thought out argument. Both of you made really valid points. That's why it felt like we only really needed to hear your opening moments. I think if this was a longer TED Talk, I think both of you really would have excelled in this challenge. However, for my vote, I had to go based off of who I thought had a more concise argument. And Debbie, I felt like there were times where you were repeating some of your points. So that's why I would have to give my vote for Rafi.
I'm gonna say that Debbie, you really impressed me in this challenge. Like I love that you were like with it, and especially because like I know like I know it was a lot harder for you to do this challenge. And Rafi, you were killing it too. You had a lot of good points, and then there's like articles, references on references on references. So just based off of that, this is a really hard vote for me personally. So I'm gonna give it to I'll just go with Rafi, I guess.
Okay. And V did give me all of her votes. She also voted for Mark and she also voted for Rafi. So that means that Mark and Rafi, you both have scored. So Team Dude, you just need one more point and you guys got the win. So ladies plus Anthony, you guys need to pull through. So for Anthony and Cody, I thought this was another really great debate. I really loved how passionate both of you were about this topic. It made me really invested in what you guys were saying. However, I did feel like one of you was, this is what I feel. I feel like one of you was a better speaker and you were more fluid in your speech, but I felt like the other person was just a little more concise on the points they were going to make. So Cody, I felt like you had a really fluid speech, but I just thought Anthony's argument was a little more concise. So Anthony, you did get my vote.
Okay, so yeah, Cody, you had a lot of good points. Towards the end, you started to like ramble just a little bit, to the point where I was just like, okay, he's definitely speaking. But I think you did a really good job. And also Anthony, I was like, the way you started that argument, I thought it was pretty funny. I was like, this was probably my most favorite one because it was actually entertaining. So I'm gonna give it to you, Anthony.
And V also voted for Anthony. So Anthony, you held it down for the ladies. So we will see Cheryl and Constance. Either it's going to be sent to a tie or the decision is going to be made. So I have to say that with this argument for the death penalty, it's a really interesting argument, and I've heard both sides be made before as well. Cheryl, I have to say, I'm just a little disappointed that you didn't have more confidence in yourself. I feel like this is kind of a recurring thing with you in the competition, and I feel like this was really your time to shine. So I hated seeing you crumble, but what I will say is that you made it through. You didn't give up. You finished making your point, even though you felt you were struggling. So I do have to give you credit there. So unfortunately though, I thought Constance had a really good argument. Even if you didn't like crumble, I really think Constance had a really like excellent points. And Constance, I think that you were the best speaker of the night, to be honest. The way that you were presenting your speech, I feel like I really could have heard you at a debate. You might want to go into politics. So my vote would be for Constance. So team ladies, you need Kyra and V's vote to stay in it. So Kyra, I'm going to give it over to you.
Yeah, ladies, sorry, you don't have my vote. I just want to say, Constance, you gobbled that up. I was really impressed. And like Cheryl, I know it was like there was times where like I know like it seemed like you were struggling, but I'm really glad that you finished because I think that was the fact that you were able to finish is really good. But yeah, you did good with the points that you had, and also Constance, you did a great job, especially. So yeah, you have my vote.
And V's vote, V's a little meaner than we are, but she just wrote not Cheryl. So she voted for Constance. So that means congratulations to Team Dude. You guys are safe from elimination tonight, and you guys will advance through to the next round. So that means that Constance, Rafi, Mark, and Cody, you are all safe. You have all been given hall passes, and you will advance. Anthony, Cheryl, Debbie, and Ida, you are all coming to the carpet tonight. That is because tonight there is no voting. There is no team picking. You are all going to face me, and you are all going to fight for your life. So for the first time this season, there will be 4 people up for expulsion. So Anthony, Ida, Cheryl, and Debbie, you're all going to have one final chance to sway me. Since Nika and Jimmy are not here, I'm really going to take into account a lot of the opinions I've heard them say, as well as your performance tonight in the lesson, and also how you guys have been performing so far in the competition. I just want to say before we get into this that I really do adore all of you. I think all of you really showed out tonight, and it is going to be a hard decision for me. And no matter which decision I make, and I hate that I have to make it all by myself, please do not take it personally, okay? So I'm going to ask everybody from Team Dude to hop off camera and on mute. Team Ladies and Anthony, this is your guys' time to fight. So I'm not really gonna have a timer. You know, I want this to be more loose and flowy. So this is just really your guys' shot. Convince me why you shouldn't be expelled. You can talk about how you performed in the lesson tonight. You can talk about how you've behaved the whole season. Anything goes. Kyra, I will be listening to what your opinions are as well, since you have been helping me judge. So any opinions you have, please just forward them to the prod chat. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, because I'll also be asking you guys questions. So I guess I'll just start this off and anyone can jump in. Who do you guys feel was the weakest link tonight from your team?
I would like to say if me and Mark had as much time as the rest of them did, I was just about to like debate against him, like be like, oh, so you do agree on having more kids because you bring in adoption and more people should adopt. So that means more kids should be brought into this world. And I didn't get to say it. I was like, damn. And then I got thrown off track and I started stuttering. I was like, I just got quiet. But I feel like from all of them, I ain't gonna lie, I was the weakest link in here because I kept getting thrown off track and I kept stumbling over my words. And once I start stuttering, I lose all trains of thought.
I feel I was the weakest one. I had everything planned out. I've had everything typed out, just like Constance. I had articles to cite. And when I went to shut my computer down last night after proof checking everything, I thought I had saved it and it didn't save. So all my work was erased. And I literally had to sit here and dig stuff up at the last second. I was prepared. Losing my work, deflated my confidence, like Dylan pointed out. And once I get flustered, that's when I start tripping over my words. So I really feel like I was the weaker person this round.
Debbie, I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah. So I want to talk about both this round and about growth this season. So I love talking about tech and AI. And I have to say, Rafi impressed me with, I don't know if he does tech for a living, but I was like, okay, because I feel like you can argue both ways. I do agree, like, I'm so passionate about like moving the economy with startups. It's kind of what I do professionally as well. So I think that I did do a good job in this. I think it was hard with me versus Rafi. So I do feel like I had some valid points. And I when you're asking about who, I do agree with with Ida and Cheryl, that maybe I do think Ida needed more time. And I do think, like, I love Cheryl, but her argument wasn't as strong because she got off track. I had to move rooms, but I was like, all right, let me just pick it up and still be confident and talk about it. But I do, like, for me, part of my growth, even professionally, is not repeating and saying filler words, but I do that when I get passionate. So I do think I did well in the challenge. I do think arguing against AI, to be honest, because I do it for a living, was harder to think of. Can
I ask you a question, Debbie? Did you have a script prepared for
Yes,
for tonight?
I
So
did.
you were reading off a script. You weren't doing it off the cuff.
So both. I was back and
Okay.
forth reading my script and then improving as well, because that's kind of what I
tell.
do. So the Facebook thing and talking about myself buying gifts, that was all improv. Going off and talking about the economy, I probably should have stuck to the script, but I did a little bit of both because
Honestly though, Debbie, that was one of your strongest points in my opinion, was when you were talking
Yeah.
about that. So
Yeah.
your improvisational skills were great. And I think something that was great about your performance tonight was I didn't feel like you were reading off a script, where I felt like there was a lot of people that were.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna ask you, Debbie, flat out. If you think Ida and Cheryl are the weakest, who should I expel and why?
Yeah, okay, because I was going to say something else about my growth this season, but I'll save it. Based on, am I basing it just on tonight or overall?
You can base it on whatever you'd like.
Okay. If I were basing it just on tonight, I'm sorry, I would have to say Cheryl. But if I'm basing it on overall, I think Cheryl's grown. But I also think Ida's grown, because kind of looking back at my mistake from last time, like, I do see growth, but I also did, try and connect with Ida. I just, but on a game level, I would say probably Cheryl from just tonight's performance. I think Ida did a little bit better.
I have to give you credit, Debbie, because I will say that one of the critiques I've heard from Jimmy and Nika, and something I've noticed with you, is you're kind of a sweet talker. And sometimes you say things, not necessarily that you're thinking, but you think will make other people happy. And I know that if you were going to go based off of who you're closer with, you probably wouldn't have said Cheryl's name.
Exactly.
So I don't need to hear everything about your growth, because that's showing me growth right there. Anthony, I'm gonna pass it over to you, because a major critique I've heard from the faculty coming into tonight was that you've kind of flown under the radar. And I was saying that I really think that tonight's the night where Anthony needs to step up, and I really do think that you have stepped up. So unless you majorly fumble the ball, you are not going to be expelled tonight. But I need to know from you, who do you think should be expelled? And again, it can be based off of tonight, it can be based off of whatever you want.
So my decision, oh my God, I can't even talk. I'm so sorry. My decision came down to Ida and Cheryl. Just because of the last competitions that we had, I was with them, and the first competition that we had, me and Ida didn't do anything in there. Then, she came back and just, slandered my name, saying that I didn't do anything in the competition. And that really did hurt me. And I do want to go on and say to you, Ida, nothing bad. I do want to apologize about day one and the whole, cussing at you and everything like that. That was rude of me to do that, especially to a woman. So I apologize to you about that. But the whole growth and everything like that, I don't see it from Ida. But like tonight, if I have to pick one person, it would have been Cheryl. So it's really both of them that I apologize to both of them. But
well, Anthony, I do have to ask you. I'm surprised to hear you say that you don't see growth from Ida. Just coming from an outsider, I'm very surprised at, well, I mean, not really, because I've seen other sides of you, Ida, but I mean, just from a viewer perspective, what we've seen of Ida is if you come for Ida, she's going to come back at you 10 times harder. And I've seen
Yes.
Ida on these lives listen to what people have to say, even when it's not the most favorable. So, and I'm just asking, in what way do you think she hasn't changed?
Now, I do want to say this. I do see some changes in her, but the way that we have conversations and stuff like that, I don't see it because she still wants to play around. And I understand this is a game and stuff like that, but like when we're in one-on-ones, you can talk. You can be, when I talk to you, I want you to be real with me. I don't want you to be like everything that you got to say is a joke. And that's why I say that. And now the same thing about Cheryl, we haven't talked either. And it might be my fault, it might be both of our faults, but I don't see anything going on with that one either. So that's all I got to say.
Go ahead, Ida.
Okay, I would like to make 2 points, okay? The first one is I tried in that last challenge. I did, Anthony, but you guys were not listening to me. So I just stayed quiet because what's the point if nobody's listening to me, right? The second point is after the last live, I don't know who was still in the call. It was a bunch of people. Somebody said they love my personality because my personality is to joke a lot. I joke a lot. That's my personality. And it was Cheryl who said she loved it. And Anthony was like, I don't like her personality. And I hanged up after that. I was like, that was so rude. Why are you coming for my personality? And then it confirms it when he said I'm in his inbox being jokey. And I was like, it's me. That's my personality.
I know. And I will tell you that. And it's okay. Like I'm jokey too. I'm sarcastic and everything like that. But like if I'm talking to you one-on-one as a person, you ain't got to do all the joking. It's like we talked, you can look at the conversation right now. The conversation went nowhere. It went like this. And I don't want that. But look, and
and I told you what I did for work. If you think that's jokey,
but is that true? Is that true?
Probably told me the same thing.
It is true.
Okay. Well, I apologize about that then, okay?
And it's like,
but the thing is, Ida, can I ask you a question real quick?
Why are you still being hateful towards me? I didn't
the thing is, no one's being hateful to you. That's the funny thing. Because I never said nothing bad about you like that to anyone. I like everybody here. The only thing that I haven't talked to you, that's the only thing. And that might be my problem too, that I didn't reach out to you first. And I apologize about that. But can you tell me what was the point of that first one that we did with the fundraiser? Why did you put my name under the bus like that, knowing that I did the work?
Like, I really did not see you do any work. I seen Will. Okay. I forgot who else was on that team, but they was doing it. Cody, I believe.
And can you tell everybody what you did and tell the truth on it?
To tell him where to put the videos or what videos to put in, and nobody was responding to me.
Okay.
I was trying, and you did confirm why you don't like me still.
I never said I don't like you. That's the thing. You want to say that.
You want to, my bad.
And I'm not, and I never say, I will never say that because there's more people that I don't like. The only thing is that we haven't talked, so I can't really say that I don't like you.
Okay, I said my bad. You said I did not change. No. That's what you said. I did not change, and you just trying to find a reason to bring me down. And
I'm not trying to bring you down. And if it seems like that, I'm not trying to bring you down. But you haven't did nothing in the challenges, and they.
Like, it's so wrong. I'm
sorry. So Dylan, that's okay. I'm not trying to argue with her.
Well, I will.
But that's my answer.
I will say this. when it comes to the challenges, I don't feel like a lot of you have done anything. I feel like so far, you guys have had 5 lessons. 2 of them have been completely social based. So there's not really anything that you guys could have done. And then the other team challenge, Debbie, you can put your hand down. You're not, does it look like you're losing?
No,
Fine.
sorry.
No, it's okay. But with the other lessons, the fashion show, I got to be honest, the only people that I remember is I remember Mark with his descriptions and his catwalk. I remember Will. I remember Ginny's really awful gown. No shade, Ginny. And that's really about it. And then with the fundraiser, I remember Lucy, and I remember the editing of that video. And that's really it. And a lot of those people are already gone. So I don't really feel like any of you, with the exception of Mark, up until this lesson, really did have a chance to shine. So whether someone has kind of flown under the radar up to this point, for me right now, is kind of irrelevant. What I will say is I need to talk to Cheryl. Because Cheryl, I see Anthony and Ida going back at it. I need to hear from you.
What do you want to hear? I was letting them say what they had to say.
I respect that, but I need to know, Cheryl, why shouldn't I expel you tonight?
I've tried my hardest. Yeah, I had a little hiccup and I took what you had to say to heart. I've done my best to remain positive. I took the time that we had off over the weekend, completely disengaged from the game, concentrated on me. I had everything well thought out for tonight. It just, I screwed up on saving it. But for me, it's really a toss up between both Ida and myself, because I have seen growth within myself, but I've also seen growth from within Ida, especially since this last team challenge. She has opened up. We have had a chance to talk, and I really have to say, she has a sweet side that a lot of people do not get to see. And I don't envy you being in this position, but I know a decision has to be made, and whatever decision you make, I will respect that decision.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything that they want to add before I make the decision on who will be leaving? Ida?
I know this game about people changing and progressing, and I don't want to throw anybody's name under the bus. But if from the last live, you're still being nasty towards people and making an excuse like, oh, they're not really talking to me, that's not a part of the game. I'm trying. I spoke to you. I was the last person to see your message in our group, and he did not respond back. I don't see him changing at all.
I did respond back to you, so it's okay. Whatever you want to say, you've been throwing my name under the bus the whole time in this game. It's okay. It's okay. You can do it all the time.
But after you said that last line, like, I don't like her personality, and then you confirmed
But
it.
the funny thing is,
that's my personality.
the funny thing is, the last live, what are you talking about? I came in like super duper late, and I left after the end. So
yes,
you can't say, and I would never have said that if you were in there either. You know, I never said that I don't like you.
No, you said you don't like my personality. That's what you said. When Cheryl
No, I never said that either. But you can spread lies. It's all good. It's cool.
Because when Cheryl was telling me that she liked my personality, you like, oh, I don't like her personality. And
okay,
then I
okay. Well, I don't remember that, and I apologize. Okay.
All right.
Cheryl, I see your hand raised.
Thank you, Dylan. This is to Ida. I have loved getting a chance to see the softer side of you. And no matter what happens tonight and after this game is over, I would like to pursue a friendship with you, because you really are a sweet person. And I hope more people get to see that.
Thank you, sure. Me too.
All right. I think I know the decision I have to make. So everyone can come back on camera, but please stay on mute until after I've made the final decision. All right, everyone. So it's been a long season here at Baddies DH1. Tonight, I will only be expelling one of you. So 3 of you will be safe to return back to your dormitories in the Cocoa Cabin, in the, not the Cocoa Cabin, the Cocoa Academy. Sorry, force of habit. So I'm gonna start with the first person that I'm gonna call back to leave the carpet. This person, I'm not gonna lie, coming into tonight, you had a really high chance of going home. And had you not performed the way that you performed tonight, you probably would have been sent home. So I was really impressed by you. And I'm hoping that when Jimmy and Nika are back, they see the improvement that I see from you tonight. So the first person I'm going to call back from the carpet is Debbie. So Debbie, congratulations, you live to die another day.
Thank you.
So that leaves us with our bottom 3 of Cheryl, Anthony, and Ida. So for the 3 of you, I've kind of seen a couple of flaws from each of you, just from the start of the game that I thought you needed to work on. Anthony, I felt like with you, you have this very calm persona, but if someone hits you in the wrong spot, you're gonna go really hot and you can go from nothing to a million. And I have seen that change from you, right? I've seen you been able to kind of reel it back a little bit. And even with that disagreement you just had, you were able to put it out in a more concise way. You also performed very well in tonight's lesson. So that's something that should be taken into account. You're the only person from your team that was able to win the debate. Cheryl, where I've seen problems with you, firstly is a lack of confidence. And I think that that really bit you today, both in the lesson and when you were in detention fighting for your life. I also think sometimes you say things without thinking about it, just based off of things I've seen in the principal's office that has been said in the Cocoa Academy house. So I feel like those were things that you really needed to work on coming into the season. You also had a really poor performance tonight in the lesson. Ida, I've been very impressed by you in the game. If we're looking at the first night all the way till now, I feel like there's been a lot of growth. Just watching the way that you handled that argument, I don't think season 4 Ida would have handled it that way. I don't even think season 10 Ida would have handled it that way. So that really impressed me. However, tonight, you did kind of fumble the ball in the lesson when it came to debating Mark. So it is a really tough decision. So taking all those things into account, the next person I'm going to call back from the carpet is going to be Anthony. Anthony, you performed amazing today. That little argument that you had with Ida, I'm going to just say this. The homework I'm giving you today is if Ida were to survive, you need to talk with her. If Ida leaves, if there's someone in this game that you have not talked to, you better go talk to them, because I don't want to hear from you at the next live that I didn't talk to this person, so we don't have a relationship. I don't want to hear that from you, because I've heard that a couple of times this season. So I hope that that is the last time I hear it from you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Cheryl and Ida, I do have to pick one of you. So ultimately, I really love both of you. You're 2 of my favorite people. Ultimately, what is going to come into my decision tonight is I'm really going to be taking into account the things that Jimmy and Nika have spoken about with me, about what their opinions are, as well as things I've observed from watching the episodes and from watching you guys compete. I'm also going to be taking into account the lessons. I've always really held those things heavily, and tonight you 2 performed the worst. However, for one of you, I feel like there is still room for you in this competition. and I feel like I could see you going all the way, whereas the other person, I don't know if you have the stamina to make it all the way. So it's with a heavy heart that tonight, the person that I am choosing to expel from the Coco Academy. Sorry, I laugh in nervous situations. In awkward situations, I have a nervous laugh. Okay, so the person that I'm deciding to expel is going to be Cheryl. Cheryl, I'm sorry, but tonight is not your night. Ida, I've been very impressed by you in this competition, the way that you've handled confrontations. I do feel like your personality is very goofy, and sometimes it's not always easy for people to immediately get that. So far in the lessons, all we've heard from people in the principal's office is that how much you've changed, how much of a team player you are. And those were really things that I took into account, but also that Jimmy and Nika took into account. So I know if they were here tonight, I know that they wouldn't have wanted to send you home. And I also feel like you really do have what it takes to make it further. My homework for you is whatever relationships that you still gotta, hammer out, do them. Do them before that next episode. That means that unfortunately, Cheryl, this is where we exit. And it sucks because this is the same spot that you left on season 9. Cheryl, I really feel like you kind of encapsulate what this competition, what I really wanted it to be all about. Growth, change. I feel like you came into season 9 very controversial from the outside opinion, but I always saw that you were willing to change, you were open to change. Even though you were sometimes the oldest person in the room, you were always open to the criticism and open to hearing what other people have to say. And you made it really far in this competition. You outlasted 6 other people. And I really do feel like had you maybe not fumbled tonight and had your team won, there could have been more to go. It's just when I had to make my decision tonight, I had to take into account both past performance and the lesson. And I felt like with you and Ida, you both performed really bad, but it's just, you've been in some altercations before this, and this just seemed like the right decision. So I'm sorry, but you need to hand me your pledge pin. Before you go, is there any final words that you want to say to me and the rest of the Coco Academy reflecting on your experience here?
Oh, I really want to say thank you for having me. Sorry, I'm trying not to cry here. I have met some wonderful people through this. I got to reconnect with an old enemy, Rafi, and I'm glad we had a chance to talk and squash things, although I still think I'm the better arguer out of the two. Debbie, I have really, really, really loved getting to know you, even though I trash talked you in the audience last season.
All good.
But I got to see a side of you the audience didn't. So Anthony, you're a new face to me, but I love getting to talk to you. You are a fierce person, but you are a soft side. Constance, I knew you before coming into this game, so we will continue to talk outside. Cody, my boo-boo, I love you. And Ida, I meant what I said. I would love to have a chance to connect with you outside of this game. Mark, I can't forget Mark, our resident stud. I love you guys. And most of all, to the production team, Kyra, I have loved getting to chat with you. Oh my God, you are hilarious. Don't change a thing. And to the audience, thank you so much for watching.
Hey, Cheryl. Boomer sooner, baby. Boomer sooner.
3 times, 3 back to back to back. Historic season.
Baby, let's go.
Boomer sooner.
Cheryl, it's been great getting to know you, and you're a strong woman, and don't let anyone knock you down.
Yes, girl. It has been such a pleasure, like reconnecting with you and getting to see you again. I met you in the same, mini, and you got introduced me to it, and I just absolutely adored you. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I just want. Oh, look, I was trying to speak. Oh my goodness.
Let Anthony talk.
Thank you. Somebody said that this season. Thank you. You know what? I love you so very much, and we will be talking after this. Okay? Don't cry.
I'm trying not
Love you,
to.
Cheryl.
Dylan, I do have one more thing to say to you. I have known you for several years. We have played games together in the past. Helped me reach to obtain that first win. Thank you for not dragging me. Thank you for being an amazing person. And I have seen, and I know the theme of the season is personal growth for the players, but from having known you for several years now, I have to say the growth I've seen from you far supersedes what anybody in this game can do.
Thank you, Cheryl. That means the world to me. There's people that won't agree with you, but
No, I know, but you were like a young kid when I met you, and to see how far you yourself have come as a host and a player, I'm proud to call you my friend.
I'm proud to call you my friend as well.
I will be in the audience watching, guys. I love you all. Deuces.
All right, Cheryl, you may now exit the Coco Academy.
Cheryl.
Oh my god, that was the
And another baddie exits out the back door. We are left with our lucky 7. So, as for the rest of you guys, I don't really know what's next. I kind of took over tonight. It was fun. Oh my gosh, I gotta say, I missed it a little bit. So as far as I know, the next episode will be on Tuesday. So I will keep you guys updated if I hear anything about what your next lesson would be. But be prepared. If you guys want to talk in the principal's office, I'll be free sometime tomorrow. And that's pretty much it. Great job, all of you. This was a really fun challenge. And I guess until next time, good girls may go to heaven, but baddies rule the world.
Woo!
Let's have a little dance party.
Holy cow, you
See you guys next time.